All right. Chapter 5 Teachings of Elidor 4. Hear my voice. I condemn the slander, the talebearer, the hypocrite. They are the inheritors of darkness, the ones destined for the dismal abyss. I condemn those who amass riches and store possessions against the future, and those who delude themselves that wealth will shield them against the trials of life. These are times of worldliness when riches are the lure and the obsession of men. Only on the brink of the grave do they see the folly of their ways. Then, when it is too late, they cry out in despair, saying, "Grant us just a little more time." Of what value would more time be to them? They have had sufficient. Food which would sustain widows and orphans is thrown by the rich to their dogs, and they say, "This is the natural order of things." I condemn them not for their riches, but for what they say. Hear the widows and orphans cry, but who will cry beyond the grave? Who will inhabit the grim caverns? Ah, you indolent rich, fatten yourselves up surely, and lean times lie ahead. Do not shift the blame when your just deserts are meted out. You are the guardians of your future, the preparers of your future abode. I condemn the self-deceivers. They say with hypocritical lying heart, "This may be done, and this is forbidden." They split hairs. They have a conscience of convenience. They interpret the message from the formation of a letter. Hear my words. Heed what I say. Do not twist the truth so that it becomes lies, and say, "These are rules for the conduct of others," at the same time masking your own deeds under a covenant veil of distortion. Never make laws for others which you are unable to keep yourself. Are they better than you? If so, let them make the laws. I raise my voice against mean-minded men. Would there be any justice were they to share the same fate as the generous and self-sacrificing? I condemn cowards when they are told, "Be men, this is your duty." Their hearts quail inside them. Their knees tremble, their feet shift. They know their true nature will be revealed and can find no words to avoid their obligations. Those I do not seek as converts, let them go their own way. For if there is hardship or persecution, if the followers of truth are to be tested for their worthiness to survive and bear the light, where will they stand? The smug, self-satisfied man is not called upon to follow. If good fortune smiles upon him, he will say, "See what I have been given, though I have done little. I must surely be a worthy man." Self-deceiver. He has been discarded as unworthy of any test. The good fortune has been granted in mercy and compassion. His future fate is awful. I condemn the cowards and hypocrites who go about shouting indignantly against warmongers and injustice. They say, "Restrain yourselves, for we are men of peace." But when the enemy swoops down upon them or a just war is proclaimed, they say, "Let your hand carry the sword and spear." Those who once shouted boldly now speak in whispers. Their voices are no longer heard. The weaver knows the design of the whole tapestry, the threads only the color in their own part. This life must be viewed together with the life to come if it is to be understood. Only the great designer can do this, and he metes out success and failure, joy and sorrow, all the tests of life accordingly. I condemn the man who says, "I am pure, I am good." Who is he to judge? Does the polecat think its own smell bad? Does the adder throw away its venom? Only the deluded fool says, "I know what is good and what is bad, and need no information on the matter." Heed these words, heed them well. When good fortune comes, some men say, "I have led a good life, and this is my reward," or "This results from my own efforts." If misfortune befalls them, they say, "This is the fault of some other," or "This is a chastisement from above." I say to you, all things flow from your own destiny. Good and bad are sent alike to test you. Both can be turned to your own benefit or your own undoing. If some of you have done wrong and acted against your own future good, whatever it is, the harm is not irreparable. There is still time. How long is unknowable, but the uncertainty is essential. The damage must be repaired by a constant outpouring of good, and this alone is not enough. The roots of evil must be torn up within you. Felling the tree is insufficient. Those who heed my words and follow my teachings are pilgrims on the path. They must be resolute and resourceful, for the going is tough. Each victory a pilgrim wins contains the promise of a harder one to follow. Every obstacle overcome brings another into view. From birth to death, life is a continual overcoming. The desires of the body and cravings of the flesh are divisible into two parts: those which draw attention to the needs of the body. These can be satisfied in moderation, and those which bring greater spiritual reward through suppression or rechanneling. The man of wisdom knows one from the other. I do not speak of profound things. My words are for the ears of unlettered men. I try to speak within the understanding of every man and woman and according to their capacity, because of this, the enlightenment given to the many may have no value to the few. Even so, there will be those who find it beyond their comprehension. My teachings are many-sided, and therefore each must interpret them according to his own capacity for understanding. My words are not for those whose minds are pools of stagnation. A pot filled with stagnant water cannot become a receptacle for the pure waters of wisdom. My words are not for the intolerant and prejudiced. Fresh milk cannot be mingled with sour milk. Hear my voice, for though I speak plainly in unadorned sentences, I have been strengthened by an inflow of power. I have a shield to deflect the words of mockers and scorners. In a sea of hostility, I am not troubled or disturbed. My heart is like flint, and my face confronts the unrighteous like a cliff withstanding the wind. Where are my worldly adversaries? Let them come forward and meet me in open discussion before you. Why do they keep away? Why do they seek refuge behind our men? It is time to separate the good from the bad, the serviceable from the worthless. The earth is overloaded with useless things. Progress is impeded in the welter of unnecessary things. It is deafened with the clacking of foolish tongues and overwhelmed in a spate of valueless words. Mankind wallows in the mud hole of a purposeless existence. He must pull himself out or be drawn under and perish. Many desire fame or greatness, but these come only in accordance with destiny. If it be destined, they will come unbidden. Therefore, do not make these your aim in life. Obey the laws of life as recorded in the scriptures. Live in accord with your neighbors, for irrelevant quarreling harms all and benefits none. Endure every trial with steadfastness, and between the tests prepare for the next. Never be caught unprepared. Those who live a good life, maintaining themselves in uprightness and shunning the ways of wickedness, do this for their own good. They are wise, but would be unwise and hypocritical were they told it was done for the sakes of the Supreme Spirit alone, and not for their own sakes. Some have been given riches in abundance. They lack none of the good things of life. Others have nothing, and their burdens are grievous and heavy. I have heard men say, what kind of God makes this the order of things? But it is not God. It is man who establishes this as the order of things. The Supreme Spirit will not undertake the tasks of men, neither will he withdraw the tests of temptation when they are placed in the paths of men. The Supreme Spirit has made a law covering the dealings between men. They are judged with a greater justice than earth can ever know. It differentiates between the powerless slave who owns nothing and the man abundantly supplied with wealth and possessions. A kind word or a drink of water from a man in bondage is of greater value than gold pieces from a man of wealth. A poor man who gives from compassion or comradeship does so in goodness, but the goodness of a rich man giving in consciousness of charity or from pride in his possessions and position lacks the same purity. It is tainted. Whose goodness has the highest quality, that of the poor man who shares all his food and clothing with a fellow man, or that of the rich man who gives 2 pieces of gold from the thousands in his treasury? The same law differentiates between the maimed and afflicted and those who are whole and healthy, between the strong and weak, the dull-minded and the keen-minded man. The law is, from each man according to his ability and means. The feeling and intent behind an act give it value. I speak again to the cowards, for in these pleasant times who knows where they are? There has been no sorting out, only their loud voices betray them, their love of comfort, their lack of hardihood, their appreciation of womanly things. They say, would that times were different and we had a call to action, but when a matter is placed at issue, when the opposition is aggressive and immovable, they melt like wax images before the heat of fire. Their hearts tumble, their bellies turn to water, they turn their eyes aside and mumble excuses. They say we have a sickness or we have many responsibilities. Far better were they better men. Far better were they better men with enough courage to admit their own cowardice. There are others, no cowards, who have a point of weakness in their family ties. Wives and children cause men to stray from the strict path of duty, but for this the wives and children are to be forgiven. Obligations have an order of precedence, which is to be strictly observed. Few men are so unbiased that they can decide such things for themselves. A wife and children are the sum of a man's life. They are almost indispensable to his full development. Yet they, like riches and power, are sources of trial, a means of testing, and every man should act in the light of this knowledge. By doing so, his life will be more harmonious and beneficial. He should also bear in mind that his relationship with all his family is judged according to a law similar to the one just mentioned. As he treats them, how he acts, so he is judged. The family living in a hovel of poverty is not expected to conform to such a high standard as the one in a place of plenty. That the former does is to its credit, that the latter fails and its standards falls below the other. Is to its discredit. Let me do that whole sentence over again. That the former does is to its credit, that the later fails and its standard falls below the other is to its discredit. There will be a proper accounting. Those who live contentedly snug in the bosom of their family, safe at home, going placidly about their daily affairs, untroubled by the call of the cause or the demands of duty, shall not be treated or judged like those who sacrifice and serve. The placid and indolent are not judged the same as those who struggle resolutely and endure steadfastly. The constant and the inconstant are not treated alike. Their merits are in no way similar. There is a greater recompense of merit for those who turn their back on home comforts than for those who remain contented with peace and placidity. These are times of peace and prosperity, but are they times of inner stability? Those born less fortunately, who have fought in bloody wars, who have been driven away homeless, who have endured famine, imprisonment, or persecution, have learned that mutual suffering is the cement of humanity. The sweet flowers of friendship and understanding are found in the deserts of despair and distress, not in the pastures of pleasure and prosperity. Peace and prosperity cannot remain with you forever. Therefore, when trouble and strife descend upon you, as they have in the past, remember that the pattern of life is one of light and shade. Happiness and sorrow, success and failure, contentment and strife are sent alternatively among men, that the good may be known from the bad, the strong from the weak, the true from the false, the straightforward man from the hypocrite, and the selfish one from the unselfish. Now I will speak about deceitfulness, the evil rampant among you. Nay, do not seek to drown my words in an avalanche of mockery. Honest men do not fear truth. Words of truth do not beat painfully against their ears. There is no deceit so profound as the deceit of the self-deceived. They are prisoners in a cell of their own building and have cast the key into the moat outside. They may hide their true selves from others in this life and think they have done well. But there will be no such deception in the life to come. Some self-deceivers stand before me, half their thoughts proclaiming their goodness, and the others preparing acts of deceit. Others say, we are good, we are just, and twist the words of the scriptures with their own interpretations and misquote to comply with their own convenience. They cannot deceive one who sees the reflection of their inner image, but they may deceive you, for they put on the face of plausibility. I see behind the mantle of goodness displayed to the eyes and discover the rottenness hidden underneath. The alms they give, the good deeds they perform are no more than palliatives to their consciences. They blow themselves up to appear great in the eyes of men, but there is nothing inside except wind. Beneath the mortal surface, there is a puny thing, weak and withered. Could these only see their future fate, they would surely cry, "We are treated unjustly," maintaining their self-deceit. But who is unjust to them if it is not themselves? To you who are healthy-minded, I say, keep well away from those self-deceivers, for if they do not corrupt you, they will surely lead you astray. Take no notice of what they say. Their words are false. Seek rather to discover the things hidden in the alcoves of the heart. Some deceivers have come to me and said, "We believe your teachings and wish to follow your way." In their hearts they do not believe, and they act from base motives. Because they are blind, they think, "I, too, cannot see. I may lack all worldly possessions and wealth, but I do have a treasure beyond price granted me in the great stone chambers. My eyes can see the inner likenesses of men. I cannot be deceived by words. Some of you who are pilgrims on the way will find many seeking to gain your confidence and appearing willing to repudiate their own kind. Have no dealings with them. A man who would betray his faith, his race, his nation, his convictions, or his family is a weak reed from which no support can be expected and upon which no reliance can be placed. If he plots your downfall, return cunning with cunning. It is not wrong to slay a snake with a snake's venom. If you disregard a man who schemes against you, you support his cause. Those totally ignorant of truth can do little harm, but those who know truth and disguise her are dangerous. Those who alter the appearance or mask the face of truth are servants of evil. Among them are those who turn the words of the scriptures to suit their own ends. They say, "This is the true meaning. It is more convenient, less harsh." Or they say, "This we know is written, but we do not obey. It is too exacting. We accept part and discard part." Get rid of them. They confuse the genuine seeker for truth and mutilate truth with their knife of selectivity. You ask, why do the good suffer as well as the bad? Why are the innocent afflicted as well as the guilty? It is because mankind is a single whole. If an arm is wounded, the whole body suffers. Men are not strictly divided into good and bad, guilty and innocent. Those who suffer are afflicted through the faults and failings of others derive the greatest kind of benefit. Just as the soul spirit experiences pleasure, so must it experience pain. Were it otherwise, the pleasure would have no value. Can light be known without the contrasting darkness? If a man is prepared to accept pleasure and happiness from contact with others, should he not also be prepared to participate in their sorrow and suffering? Pain is unpleasant, agony sometimes unendurable, but they can be accepted and borne by the realization of their objective, the knowledge that they have a purpose and end. Suffering and strife have made man what he is. He suffers things unknown to lesser creatures which do not know the pains of remorse, regret, shame, and disgrace. It is suffering and sorrow, not pleasure and happiness, that have raised man to his present height. You ask, how can the troubles and tribulations of the good be reconciled with the statement that the Supreme Spirit is the fountainhead of justice, goodness, and mercy? They can be. Man must tread the hard road of sorrow and suffering because it is an inescapable route on the journey to claim his inheritance. Man has won the right to make the pilgrimage. He has passed the simple tests. Should he balk at the greater ones along the way? People, hear my voice. I am your prophet. Transmute the dark memories of your sorrows into light seeds of spirituality. The pearl of perfect peace lies in the dregs within the cup of suffering. The haven of happiness lies across the turbulent seas of strife.